Chris?
Week 8. Hard to believe.
Man, I cannot believe we're at week 8.
If we're including the championships, 17-week season, we're almost about a third of the way through, still got a ways.
We got a lot to talk about this week, but we got one big topic to talk about this week, and we're going to get started right after this. So normally we start out the show, I ask Chris what were the best things he saw last week, and I ask you and Gary questions, Dale, about what's going on. But the big news came out Friday, broke by the Charlotte Observer, that said that CMS is going to limit ticket sales and not sell tickets at games for certain high-profile games for the remainder of the season. Who determines high-profile games? Somebody within CMS. Dale, start with you. Your thoughts.
Man, so we heard Friday night about how actually this occurred the first week of the season at the Olympic Palisades game.
Yes.
And we heard about, I wondered why there were so few people at what is a big game for the community. Might not be a big game for a certain Palisades player, but certainly it was a big game for the community. And she mentioned that there were people outside the stadium standing at the gates watching, and they were told they couldn't watch without paying, but they couldn't get into the game.
Right.
Now, Langston, to me, there's several issues here, and I'm going to try to keep my calm about it. You know, one, of course, Sam brought up the other night about the money that the schools need and the schools can't get by limiting number of people. And that's a big issue without question, because football carries every other athletic program within the school.
Yes.
The money comes from the booster club, concessions and all. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing that bothered me and bothers me was the statement that Sam made about how he had parents contacting him about how they were going to get into the game. And how do you keep parents from watching a game? How does that happen? That family members want to watch a game of a member playing. How in the heck can they be left out of it? I don't agree with this limiting. I think there's other ways to approach it.
Yeah, I'd ask you guys to shoot a commercial for the show, and one of the things that Gary said in that spot was there are going to be unintended consequences. Gary, that was one of those unintended consequences. Now, I ask you to remember, you're going to have your shot to really dive deep in coach versus coach, but give us your thoughts here.
Well, I didn't find out about this until late Friday afternoon. I was getting ready to head over to West Charlotte for the Independence game.
Yeah.
When I saw the news and heard the news that they weren't accepting faculty passes, which I have, coaches passes, which I have, or media passes, which I have. So I'm saying, I got every kind of pass you can have to get in a high school game in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I got a teacher's pass, I got a state coach's pass, I got a state media pass. And they said I couldn't get in. And I'm like, first of all, we've all been vetted. That's the part I have a problem with. The state media and the faculty passes. Everybody's been vetted. We've all had background checks.
Yeah.
Some of us even had drug checks.
Yeah.
We've had every check you can have in order to get those passes and those credentials, and then you still tell us we can't come in. And the state authorizes that coach's pass for any state sanctioned game in any sport.
Yeah.
That's automatic admittance. And I got the gold card, which means I got a lifetime pass.
Yeah.
And to be told I couldn't get in, not because, the place was too crowded, but for some type of other issue that's going on, that kind of bothered me. I mean, it really bothered me. And then when I saw the game on behalf of sports, and I saw all the empty stands. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. No, it's a tough thing. Chris, your thoughts?
I got to kind of go with what Gary said. The not accepting of the credentials. Whether the state, whether the coaches, things like that. I mean, that is an issue that I think needs to be addressed at really the highest levels. And Gary's right. There's some unintended consequences with implementing these kind of rules. And I don't think that maybe some of the decision makers really thought through this. It almost feels like it was a hastily made decision at the last minute, and they just went ahead and threw out the news and, didn't think through some of the processes. But, even more so, and, as a CMS parent, I had a senior player that played basketball last year. Had we missed our son's basketball game last year and not been able to see a game, especially a big game of this magnitude, we would have been livid, not allowing the parents in. And, I listened to the Twitter Spaces show on Friday night, was a part of that. And to hear some of the parents talk about how they were unable to get in, that's the biggest travesty in this deal, is to have a senior, especially a senior, but any player, child who goes through everything required, the summer workouts, the spring workouts, everything. And you want to see them on the biggest stage against a big rival and not be allowed in. That to me, that's the biggest thing that would upset me.
Yeah.
Well, what makes it a big game is the fact that it's going to be a sold out stadium.
Yeah.
So if it's not a sold out stadium, now that takes a lot of luster off of that game.
Yeah.
I know the biggest thing is the standings, but still it's the atmosphere.
Yeah. We've seen this in basketball where CMS has pre-sold tickets because they didn't have enough seats. And they would pre-sell tickets, and they give, a certain amount of tickets to Team A and a certain amount of tickets to Team B. But Dale is a former parent of a CMS student. Football is a little harder to make sure every parent can get into the game. Basketball, there's, 10, 12, 15 people. Football, 60. And by the time you get all the parents in, that could be a large portion of your allotment. Just your thoughts. What if Dale Ross couldn't get in to see little Dale when he was playing back in the day?
Oh, that's what as I was saying at the start, the money is a big issue, but as a family member, and especially as a parent, and some of us that live vicariously through our kids, you want to be there. You want to see their accomplishments, and to not be in that stadium lane.
And I want his brother to come, his aunt to come, his uncle to come. I want everybody to come.
Exactly.
Grandma. Yeah, grandma can't get in. I mean, if grandma can't get in, I'm in trouble.
Something's wrong here, and it's got to be beyond. I don't know. Gary said, this looks like it was put together hastily, and it does. I'd like to know all the way back to that Olympic game. What was the decision there? Yeah, a high-profile game, I guess, because they figured there'd be a lot of people there. But what was the motivator for that? What did it occur at other games between then and Friday night?
Yeah.
It didn't occur at the Mallard Creek West Charlotte game because there were a lot of people in that stadium.
That was probably the highest profile CMS versus CMS we've had this year.
Exactly. So what's the logic behind it?
The one thing that I would say, and I looking at it from CMS's side, if they've had some incidents, and I know there was something that happened at the homecoming game, there was something that happened at the Mallard Creek game. These things happen all around the state. But I think if you're going to do this, if you're going to limit fans at these games in the number one sport for high school, the thing that funds the athletic department, you're going to have to cut them a check to make up the difference. That's what I would say. And that's something.
Langston,
now Langston,
I want to add something.
Here's my rationale, okay? Because I work in a school almost every day.
Yeah.
Okay? And every school in CMS has a fight every now and then.
Yes.
Kids fight.
Not just CMS. Not just CMS, everywhere. I hear about fights all the time.
They don't fight, okay?
Yeah.
You don't say all of a sudden, oh, we're not going to have school. Or we're not going to let a third or half of the student body come because we had a fight yesterday.
Yeah.
What you try to do is you try to put more eyes in areas that are going to be places where trouble could take place. Now,
But let me say what that.
One of the things I thought about with how the stadiums are made in CMS. Okay, some of them sit in a bowl.
Yes.
Okay, and then some of them are you come in on the ground level and you go up.
Yeah.
And so
the mom said Friday night that she talked about the Olympic game.
Yes.
And at the Olympic game, we had around the 5-minute mark to end the game. There was an incident in the stands where what CMS security told me was somebody started running their mouth, and that somebody got chased out of the stadium by maybe 100 people. It was a big incident.
Right.
And within minutes, police started responding. And probably every police officer in the Steel Creek, Creek.
Made that comment. She said they can't afford to have enough police inside the building, but as soon as something happened in the parking lot, all of the police in that area came, and if I wanted to rob a Target or something, I could have successfully done it.
Exactly. So the fact that we can't have, I don't buy that's an issue, because if there's high profile games that CMS is going to say you're tagged, you're not going to have, but you seat 4,500 where you're going to get the seat 2,000.
Well, the thing
they can hire. Langston, they can hire off-duty police to come in and monitor the situation.
Dale, let me push back on that. They don't have discretionary funds for athletics. They don't have it. So this notion that
this is not athletics, Gary. This is not athletics, though. This is not just athletics. This is a school. The stadium is a part of the school.
Anything involving a game comes out of the athletic budget.
Wait a minute now. I'm going to tell you that this whole stuff about discretionary, Vicki Hamilton got money at Olympic for an athletic weight room out of other monies because it was deemed a part of facilities. And the school is part of the school. So again, this is a school event, school. It might be athletics, but it's a school event, school security. They can get the money.
Vicki was a trailblazer in terms of how she handled these high profile games and made sure they came off well and moved games where it needed to be moved, and brought in lots of dudes in yellow vests for these games. I was there and saw it. And I think that's more the approach that they could take now. But if you're going to limit me from making money and take money away from my baseball team, my soccer team, and my tennis team, I just think that they're going to have to find some discretionary funds to write them a check. But before we continue this conversation, Richard Walker did ask West Charles Jamore Nichols after the game how he felt about playing with fewer fans. I just want to drop that for you guys.
I was just happy to have everybody here. I thank God that we even played, because last few games been rough, a lot of things in the stands, but I was just happy that we played. We got through the game successfully.
So he's concerned. He said a lot of things have been happening in the stands. Now that points to why CMS is taking action. He says that. But he's also worried about maybe not even playing. So I'd rather than play to not play. I do think there needs to be a solution to control what's happening in the stands. Gary, you made a really good point last week talking about Greg Klimmer. Can you tell people what you were talking about?
Well, you got to make an example out of people. You got to arrest them. You know, I spoke last week about a principal I had when I was at Providence named Greg Klimmer, who went on to become the number 2 man in the school system in the 90s. But he would make an example out of somebody early in the school year, and he let them know if there's a fight, both people are going to jail. And then your parents can deal with the financial responsibility of getting you out of jail, which back then was like $100. But still, that affects anybody's budget. But what it did is it set up consequences that the kids understood. And after a few years, we didn't have any fights at Providence, you know. And if we did, they got arrested. He would stop class. He would come on the intercom and he would say, "We lost one today." And if you're sitting in the front of the building, look out the window and you could see him getting in the police car. And he wasn't bluffing about that, but it worked. So if people know there are going to be consequences, and here's another thing. Those stands are loaded with cameras. all the high schools are equipped with cameras all over the campus.
Yes.
The student parking lot, faculty parking lot, the hallways, the entrances to bathrooms, the gym, the football stadium, and they have a room in every high school with nothing but cameras where they have somebody who's sitting in there looking at what's going on around the building. So if you have those cameras on during the games, okay, and you have somebody back in the building who's watching those cameras, they can radio to somebody, say, look like we got a disturbance down in the west end zone, or we got a disturbance over.
They do at Hornets games. That's what they do at Panther games.
Yeah, and then they can cut it off before it gets out of hand.
Yeah,
But who's gonna carry those walkie-talkies? Well, you just said some of the faculty can't get in. Faculty carry radios all during the school day. Yeah. I had a radio for 8 years. I was so happy to get rid of that radio. But that's one of the things that, hey, faculty members, we need some people to carry the radios tonight and station you at this place or that place. And if they see something going on, or they see something on the cameras, they can say, hey, we got something going on in this part of the stadium. We need to get people over there. Okay.
A few weeks ago, Sam said that the game everybody wants to see in Charlotte is Huff versus West Charlotte. A few weeks ago, Sam said there's a possibility that game could be moved to Bank of America Stadium. Can you imagine if Huff and West Charlotte are playing in a regional championship game, Chris Hughes, and that game's at, I think Huff's higher ranked, so let's say it's at Huff, and you can only have 1,000 people there. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, that would be a travesty. That would be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, especially, if you had a venue like that secured and you still didn't let anybody in. I mean, you want to talk about losing money. I mean, you're losing money just in the expense of putting the game on, but then the fact you just don't let anybody in. I mean, just think of how much income, those athletic departments and schools would lose because of that.
Yeah.
And don't forget, if it's a state playoff game, a third of that money is going to the state.
That's right.
So that's more expensive.
Gotta pay the boss lady. Dale, put a ball on this for me.
Oh man, to me, this is a very tough situation. I saw in our comment section about similar to COVID, etc. This is something we can control, and this is something that CMS can control, and CMS can do a better job than what they've done. And yes, you can come up with the funds to add some extra eyes in the stadium to monitor this stuff. No doubt. I'm 100% with Gary. Anytime anything happens, arrest both people. Send messages, make examples. We're not going to tolerate this. That's all I can say. We're not going to tolerate this.
Dale, I hate to go against you on this, but I'm telling you, I know they do not have the discretionary funds.
I know that money can be pulled from other areas because I've been part of it happening. So I know that it can be done.
Not this year, Dale. Not this year. The school system is stretched.
Yeah, that is true. But I think we just need to find some creative ways to do this. When I was in high school in West Charlotte way back when, one of the things I look forward to most was going to football games on Fridays. That was a huge deal. We go to the football games and we go to the Burger King after the football games. That was the thing to do. And I can't imagine being 17, 18-year-old Langston and I can't go see West Charlotte play on a Friday night because I didn't hit the lottery that week to get into the games. I mean, that is such a big – and I still remember those things now years later. The fun we had going to those games. I would hate for any kid to miss that because some other kids are being deviant. I think the kids needed to also take responsibility for their own behavior because they are hurting this for everybody. I'm not saying CMS is wrong in taking this action. I'm just saying that maybe we need to find creative ways to make it work better. I understand why they're doing it, but I think
bring Coach Hales in and let him say what he just typed, if he will.
Coach Hales is going to have plenty of chances to talk with Coach versus Coach about this topic. But so we'll definitely come back to this. But I did want to talk a little bit about two games last week. Chris, Palisades beat Audrey Kell 14-11. It was the first time they were down 9-0 in rallies. The first time they'd ever beaten Audrey Kell. How big a win is this for Palisades? And we keep talking about them turning that proverbial corner. Is this the game that really gets them around that proverbial corner?
Yeah, no, I think this is a huge win for Palisades. You know, it's a win that I kind of expected. I just felt like this Palisades team was much better than the record suggests. You know, you can make a pretty strong case that they're 1 or 2 plays away from being an undefeated football team and being a completely different conversation. Just how good could they be? So, you know, I'm not surprised. But I do think, you know, we're still dealing with children, you know, teenagers, 14, 16, 17-year-old kids. Yeah. And sometimes you still have to win that game to realize you can do it. You know, there's something about accomplishing that. And now that they know they can win those tight games, they know they can beat a rival. I think the sky's the limit, and they'll just continue to kind of get that ball rolling and get better each week.
Funny you say that.
You like to see this is the 4th year. So those kids that were freshmen, when school opened, they have seen the process play out and it be successful, because I'm sure that was their goal when they were 9th graders. And now they hit the goal as seniors. That's got to feel very rewarding to not only the staff, but to those senior kids that had to go through that process.
Absolutely. Well, we got some sound after their game. Let's play that. We'll hear from the quarterback and coach.
Man, first of all, you know, all glory to God. But I feel like this team is just like different than any other team we've ever had. Especially with like the guys we have over here, and like they just welcome me with open arms. And you know, I just love these guys. I feel like we just pushed through. Had some adversity, had some calls we thought should have been made, but you know, we just pushed through, and in the end, we came out on top. I think we learn a lot about ourselves. Like when we get down, like this is one of our first times like being down by like 9 points. Because most of them down all year. But you know, we fought back. I think we just showed like our toughness and that like we can come out on top in any situation.
Really, just you know, we had that conversation. You know, we went back and watched last year's film a bunch. We watched them, you know, pretty much every day. And again, it was just about our time to kind of break through. You know, we had Clover on the ropes. We gave up, you know, the game-winning touchdown in the last 11 seconds. And then same thing kind of with Independence. You know, we had them on the ropes. Then we gave up the game-winning touchdown with about 4 minutes left. So really our conversation was not about can we compete with these teams. It's about can we finish against these teams. And that's what we did tonight. So I'm very, very excited and happy for these guys. Now, I mean, it is the emotional balance, though, because, you know, you get frustrated early in the game. You know, the call's not going your way, the ball's not bouncing your way. You know, they go up 9-0. You got to battle back. I mean, you just got to battle back, and you got to be emotionally controlled to battle back. So, no, it was an emotional thing more than anything, in my opinion.
Makes the post-game balancing worthwhile, huh?
Man, I'm freaking. I knew I should have packed something extra, but I did that last year and we ended up losing. So this year I had to just wing it. So yeah, it's all good.
Well, at least it wasn't cold Friday night when they hit him with the post-game shower. And I'm thinking this water wasn't Gatorade, so it wasn't too sticky. Go ahead, Chris, you had a point.
Yeah, and I just kind of wanted to throw this out there, too, just speaking of how big a win this is for Palisades. You know, we mentioned that just a few bounces of the ball, they could be undefeated. This win over Audrey Kell, AK is a much better team than that 3-3 record indicates as well. They're a couple of plays away from being a 5-1 team and looked at with a completely different perspective. Carter Green's their defense coordinator. They're only giving up about 2 touchdowns a game. And in an era where people are scoring a lot of points, this AK team is actually a pretty good team. So I think it just magnifies how strong this Palisades team is moving forward.
Absolutely.
Well, it's so funny.
Coach Simmons hit the nail on the head in that at the Clover game, I was at both the Clover and Independence game. Both games that Palisades had great opportunity to win. Should, you know, late in the game they're winning and then something happens. So those moments hopefully showed them in this game and moving forward that you've got to finish games. And they obviously finished Friday night, which I think is more important than beating Audrey Kell. It's beating that demon of failing late in the game.
That's what I mean. Turn that corner, Gary.
To see the growth in Coach Simmons, guys, you wouldn't believe. I saw him coach over a decade ago at Hopewell, and I had to pull him aside and talk to him about how emotional he was.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, hey, the kids they gonna act like you.
Yes.
And if you're emotional, every time something bad happens, that's the attitude that they're gonna take.
Yeah.
They're gonna follow their lead. And he's really grown as a coach of controlling his emotions, because he used to be a ball of fire for 2.5 hours a day, every day. You know?
No, he's very mature now. I definitely agree with that. Chris, the other big game this week, West Charlotte was 1-2. Remember, Sam was on here, crying in his Cheerios, and now they won 4 in a row. They beat 2 nationally ranked teams in 2 weeks and beat them decisively. How about those Lions?
Well, I remember telling Gary this up at the press box at Bank of America Stadium when I watched the Grimsley game week 1. I came away from that game knowing that West Charlotte was just an immensely talented team. And I felt that had that game against Grimsley been played later in the year, let's just say, I know they're not the same class, but let's just say it was in the playoffs, I felt West Charlotte would have won. You look at the schedule, you look at everything that Coach Griner did. He has prepared this team to be a rigid, rugged playoff team when it matters the most. And I think that those losses in some roundabout way have made this team better and kind of locked them in and focused them in on the real prize. And I think they're probably the best team, in the state. I know Grimsley's undefeated, and I know Grimsley beat them in overtime, but if I had to pick any team in any game right now, it may be West Charlotte.
It's funny you say that, because Sam is going to allude to that in the sound I'm about to play. But West Charlotte, everybody keeps telling me if they can clean it up, they can win the state championship. You guys might remember Chambers went back-to-back very, very loose for 150, 175 yards of penalties per game. But I agree, if West Charlotte can clean up their penalties and keep those helmets from flying around, they might have a chance to win. Here's some signs.
Let's make a few more extra points.
Well, that too. He addresses that too. Here we go.
I see they changed the defender on Dante this week for some reason. So we seen a new defender that we haven't seen on film. So we took our advantage and definitely hit Dante on a couple quick games and things like that. When we need a big play, we can trust them, especially the defense, to get other guys open. They eyes are always on Dante. So getting other players open, he's a big player for us.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think McFadden, their head coach, I think he's the best script coach there is in the state of North Carolina. I think he does the best job. Their first series is always, I don't know what they do in practice to work their first series, but they come out with great intensity. They always come out with great poise. They're very designed. They know exactly what they're doing, and they drove the ball right down the field, and we had to respond from that. And he does that time after time after again. He does that a great job. So, kudos to him. So, and it gives his team the momentum, and it showed us a lot about who we are. I mean, we got hit in the mouth right away, and then the rest of the game we just said, nah, no more. And I think we imposed our will the rest of the way. Yeah, and that's the whole key. I tell everybody, I keep on I'd rather be 13-2 and win a state championship than being 14-1 and losing one at the end where it hurts. I would love to be undefeated, yes, but I don't know if this team could grow being undefeated as much as they can with those 2 losses in overtime. We still are not a clean football team yet. Just silly things, silly mistakes. Everybody they're undisciplined. If we're so undisciplined, why are we as good as we are at doing the rules in the plays? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
So we all know what gets under Sam's skin by now.
He's right.
You call it team undisciplined. Gary, what are your thoughts about West Charlotte and where they are right now?
Well, they're definitely the most talented team I've seen all year.
Wow.
They are the most talented. And, he doesn't want to hear it, but I tell it to him every week. Mm-hmm. They got to clean up the kicking game, because they're going to dominate on offense and defense. They're going to dominate on that. But they're going to run into that team where field position matters, where extra points matter, where coverage on the kickoffs, because they kick off a lot, but they don't kick it deep, and their kickoff team is not that great. Because the other night, and another game I saw them recently, I think it was Mount Creek. The other team is starting at their minus 45. you know, and
put those starters on special teams. Put Dante Nicholson on special teams.
So
yeah.
They got to clean up the kicking game.
Yeah.
But most talented team, I'm not gonna say by far, because Huff is very talented and Brimsley talented, but I think they're the most talented. And if but in a big time game, and everybody right now thinks it's gonna be Huff versus West Charlotte for the right to go to the state championship.
Well, and Dale, we saw Sam make allude to records. He talked about being 13-2, which means he would win the state championship, and he talked about being 14-1, which means a certain team up north would lose in the regional championship game. I know he's selling, but the Huff people are hearing it because I saw the Huff quarterback drop a comment in one of our posts this week, said, talk soon, his favorite thing, talk soon. What do you think about the potential of a Huff West Charlotte game? What do you think about West Charlotte in general?
I think the potential is there for sure. I think that between now and then, the biggest thing, I agree that kicking's got to be addressed, but also penalties have got to be addressed because you can't put yourself into longer fourth down or third down situations or having to go for fourth down so many times. But I definitely believe that this game will occur, Langston. I think both teams are destined to face each other. And it's going to be a great game.
It'll be the biggest game probably since Butler played Independence in the regional final years ago.
It could rival those games that we saw from Butler and Independence in that 2004 to 2000. Well, let's say 2005,
5 to 9,
2007.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris, you're put a bonus for us. West Charlotte, your thoughts?
No, I agree with everything. And that video quote with Coach Griner, he's 100% right. And it kind of goes along with what I said a second ago. This team is going to be a better team in late November, early December because of that early week stretch in August and early September of the teams they played. And again, I bet the Huff guys and the team up there at Huff, they're probably watching this, loving all this attention on West Charlotte because, that's giving them something to go for. But I really like that group up there too. That Huff, I really hope that we see that Huff game. I know we're kind of putting the cart before the horse between Huff and West Charlotte because we're going to be the ones that win when it gets to that. Just the media circus, the hoopla, the fandom, everything. I just hope CMS gets the attendance thing figured out for them because it would be just an absolute nightmare if fans couldn't see that game.
I think if I'm the ADs of Huff and West Charlotte, I'm trying to find a site now.
I moved that game to Union County.
I'm trying to like go to Charlotte. I'm trying to go to Memorial. I'm trying to sound like Memorial, but Memorial or Bank of America. I'm looking now just in case that game happens. That's my thoughts. Okay, so before we get to Chris and the players of the week, Dale, tell the people about your show on Wednesdays. Off to a really good start.
Yeah, I'm certain that we're going to carry on about this attendance thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great show this Wednesday night. We'll have Coach Joe Evans on with us.
That should be fun.
So, come join.
Coach Evans is like slimmed down now. He didn't like the Hulk anymore. I was over there last week, and he looks like lean and mean now. I was surprised.
Well, that's obviously interesting about knowing thigh for biceps, Evans.
He's fun. He's a great interview, and he's really smart. And I think that'll be a fun show. I think you guys will have a good time with that. Okay, so we're going to take a break, and I'm going to come back and toss it to Chris for the players of the week. Every week on Thursday and Saturday morning, get the latest in high school news from around the region in the Charlotte Observer's free newsletter, Talking Preps, the newsletter. Make sure you sign up now.
All right, guys, can you believe we just finished up week 7 of the high school football season? Before we move to week 8, we're going to find out who balled out and got the call last week. So let's roll that music. All right, guys. Hey, my favorite part of the show, we get to highlight some of these guys who are really making it happen on the gridiron. We're going to get started right here in Mecklenburg County. South Mecklenburg High School. Talk about a hot start for them. Rayvon Pauling in their 45-20 victory over West Meck. This sophomore, by the way, ran the ball 20 times for 151 yards and a touchdown. Also had 39 yards receiving and another score. Coach Sam Garner, I want to give you this guy right here. He's making some plays big time.
Yeah, this guy's phenomenal. And Joe Evans raves about this kid. Like, I mean, he must have been a huge weight room kid because on screen, he looks very muscular already, only as a sophomore. So he's taking Joe's program to the serious levels, and you can tell the way he runs. My favorite thing about his running is when he makes his cuts, he's cutting downhill. He's more like a slither downhill cut, so he runs behind his pass. See right there, contact was made right there in that highlight, and he still carried him for 8 more yards because of his momentum and the cuts not slowing him down. He's got big potential down the future.
It's a good thing CMS. It's a good thing we're showing this now because it looks like CMS didn't let anybody in that game, huh?
Rayvon was everywhere on the field, and look, he's here on set with us as well. Mr. Pauling, welcome to the show. Congrats on balling out.
Thank you.
Tell us about that game.
So this game was pretty fun, feel me? Because my O-line, shout out to my O-line. Without them, couldn't have any of these yards. Shout out to my coaches for prepping us for this game. Feel like we had good prep towards this game. We worked on my secondary cuts, secondary levels, and shout out to my coaches. And yeah.
A question for you. Let's talk about this embracement of the Road Warriors. Tell us about your shirt. What does that mean to you guys this year?
Anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Because you guys got to play on the road, don't you? You got to play even your home games. Yeah.
Anywhere, just not at home.
Yeah, anywhere but not at home. That's right.
Hey, Rayvon, I got a question. Rayvon, I got a quick question, man. Would you rather run over somebody or make somebody miss?
I rather low key. I like both though, cause I want to drop somebody and yeah, I like both. To be honest.
You got to choose one, Rayvon. We're saying you can't have both.
Run somebody over. I'd rather run somebody over.
Why?
Why is that
important? Why is that important? Because if you run somebody over, in my opinion, it sets the tone for the rest of the game, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, they don't want to make contact with you."
Yeah, now everybody's scared to make contact. You know, I like to set the tone.
Good deal.
I love it.
All right, Rayvon, hey, we appreciate you coming on. Again, you balled out. You got the call. Hard to believe that you're just a sophomore the way you look on tape, but best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, that's a great one right there. I love getting these sophomores on. What is it? Dickie V calls them the diaper dandies. Anyway, hey, let's move on forward. Let's go up to McDowell County. Danny Charles Brown. They had a 60-42. No, this ain't basketball. 60-42 victory over South Caldwell. This 5'7" senior quarterback completed 21 of 30 passes for 386 yards and 6 touchdowns. And oh, by the way, also ran the ball 12 times for 98 yards. Gary, tell me what you see in this guy.
I see a little Kyler Murray is what I see. This is how these are the kind of stats that Kyler Murray, who is the current quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, used to put up in Texas high school football. He used to do this every week. And to be at his height and throw the ball deep the way he is, that's astounding. I mean, look at these balls. He averaged 18 yards of completion, you know, and 6 touchdowns. That's phenomenal. It's like he's playing 7-on-7.
I'll tell you what. Hey, Gary, I got another name for you that none of these kids are going to know, but he's a former Heisman Trophy winner, 1984, Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie, man. Look just like they about the same size, too.
And he's got to perform like that. Unfortunately, you know, the height is going to be a recruiting factor for a lot of people, but you can tell when he throws the ball. The one comment I'll say is that he throws the ball with his whole body. It's a great rhythm. It's not just all arm. He has an explosive body, and he knows how to throw at a young age. Probably played baseball at a young age as well.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's move over to Cleveland County. We know what kind of football they play out there. Max Davis from Burns High School, big 35-21 victory over Stuart Kramer. Burns ran the ball, Davis ran the ball 28 times for 285 yards, 5 touchdowns, an 80-yard score called back. And he also had 7 tackles on defense. Coach Hells, this is the kind of guy I feel like you could get excited about.
Oh, absolutely, man. And even with my Kent State math, I know that that's 10 yards a carry right there. But I'm telling you, the thing that I like watching this kid run is he's got all the skills. Like you see the power, you see the speed. Not only does he read his blocks well, but he sets his blocks up too. And again, you see that kind of volume, 28 carries, 10 yards a carry. Like, it ain't just him either. Like, Max, that's a great job. But that's a big shout out to your offensive line, because you see some of these runs, like he's not getting touched for the first 5-10 yards, but he's finishing like that right there. He goes untouched, but man, what a great night for this kid. Even getting 7 more tackles on defense. Sam, I think you call that an ice bath game.
Yeah, 100% ice bath, and he's well deserved. Like, everybody get out of the tub, he's coming in, no doubt.
He probably walks to school 10 miles uphill both ways. That's the kind of era he comes from.
Yeah, I like this kid right here. I do. I like the way he plays.
All right, guys. Hey, let's move up to Wake County to Cary High School. Nick Grenna. There you see the highlights right there. The Cary Imps had a 36-31 victory over Holly Springs. Grenna ran the ball 28 times for 187 yards, 3 touchdowns, also threw for 71 yards. And just by the way, I got to give a shout out to this Cary team. They're 6-0. Coach Coleman Tyrants. That's a huge season for them. Coach Griner, what do you see in this guy?
Well, outside of his last name, I love the way he plays. We put a little bit more ER on there. He might be a Griner at it the way he runs. But you're talking about a Tim Tebow-ish type guy. I'm a Tim Tebow guy. If he could throw with his left hand, I'd really love him even more. But guy is definitely – they're running quarterback sweeps with my guy throwing the ball. They're just saying we're going to win with the ball in his hand. You can tell he's a leader of men. Just everything he does, the way he plays. Look at that fake right there. Look at the fake. And then the enough to take it the distance. Come on. Love this guy's game. Love it a lot.
All right. Hey, Sam, I'm going to give you this one here as well. I know how much you like those Cleveland County guys, so I'll wait for the film to catch up with me right here. But let's talk about Crest High School. Eli Hamrick. I had a chance to see him early in the year. I mean, this is a man amongst boys playing quarterback. But Crest High School, they had a 42-7 blowout victory of South Point. Hamrick threw 2 touchdown passes, ran for 2. South Point, by the way, suffered their worst loss since falling 38-0 to Dudley back in the 2021 state finals. You don't see South Point lose like this a lot, Coach.
Yeah, and I think I got to give a lot of credit to his power before the snap. If you could tell that first play right there, he saw what he liked. There was a lot of people in the box. He's going to take advantage of their athleticism on offense and put these guys in space. It looked like he made a check. So a lot of quarterback play is done before the snap's happening. He really understands what they're doing. He's able to move outside the pocket, extend the play, get the ball to his athletes. You could tell this is the toughest loss that South Point's had in a long time. Kudos to the quarterback to be able to put points on the scoreboard, because the other team's going to try to milk the clock by running the football. They did a good job on defense, and every time he was on offense, he made them pay. I mean, great job commanding the offense. Great job.
Absolutely. I remember I saw him walk into Coach's office back in the spring, and he looked like a man, had that mustache. I mean, it's hard to believe that guy's a high school player, and he don't play like it. But anyway, kudos to Eli Hamrick, Crest High School.
We need to do an ID check. They need to be an ID check.
There you go. Hey, I want to move it back up to Wake County. Enloe High School. Enloe, they've been having one heck of a season. There's a lot of schools that's kind of having breakthrough seasons. Coach Ryan Clark, Enloe, they've done a great job. O'Shawn Johnson, they had a 50-22 victory over Athens Drive. O'Shawn Johnson ran the ball 14 times for 118 yards, 2 touchdowns, also caught 2 passes for 23 yards as well. So, again, I just want to give a tip of the cap to those guys up at Enloe. Again, just a great season for them. Moving back to this area, let's go over to Gaston County. Ethan Presley over at Hunter Huss High School. Huss is also, one of those tough teams. They had a 38-21 victory over Forest View. Presley completed 16 of 25 passes, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. Gary, Coach Hells, what do you see in this guy?
And for the numbers I see, he's a big play hunter. 20 yards of completion, 4 touchdowns. So number one, he's getting the ball down the field. Number two, he's getting the ball in the hands of the right guys too. Even if it's a short pass, they take it at the distance. So man, what a big night for him.
Yeah. It's a Gaston County rivalry, and I'm sure that was big in Gastonia, and put up those kind of stats in a rivalry game means he's a big time player.
Yeah, absolutely. Our video may have failed there, Ethan. Hopefully we can add that in, but an incredible job. Awesome work. Let's move back here to the Charlotte area. Cannon School, actually up there in Concord. Jackson Laws, they had a 21-15 victory over previously undefeated Charlotte Country Day. Laws had a game-high 15 tackles, including 6 sacks for a loss, 6 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, a fumble recovery. Coach Hales, this is a guy that's all over the field.
Yeah, and I like his decision making. Like, he's able to recognize blocking schemes and kind of get into the gaps, or he's seeing the kick out block coming, he's getting underneath it, and then you just see the relentless pursuit coming from him, and that's what like right there. He's got the kick out block coming at him, and then the strong hands to get his grips on him, and then being able to get the ball carried to the ground. And what's probably going to become a pretty big rivalry, I would think, between Cannon and Country Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of another private school rank, let's stay here in the Charlotte area. Hickory Grove, Jesse Balazzi in a 36-7 victory over Covenant Day. Balazzi had a game-high 17 tackles, including 11 solo tackles, an interception, a rushing touchdown. Hickory Grove has not played in 3 weeks. This was a big time. I think, Coach Grinder, you said this is an ice bath game.
Yeah, this is a guy right here that I coached his brother Charlie Balazzi at Hickory Ridge, and he was one of my favorite players and one of my favorite families that I ever been around. Phenomenal person, Christian family. He's going to the school. He didn't go to Hickory Ridge, and you could tell he can bend a little bit more than Charlie can. So I'm a little shout out to Charlie, but Jesse right here can bend. That's the problem. Charlie was a big 6'2" linebacker, but he was a little stiffer, and Jesse got a little chance. You could tell when they had them school dances in middle school that he wasn't hanging out on the outskirts. He was in the middle mixing it up. No doubt.
Wow. Well, speaking of mixing it up, we're going to bring Jesse Balazzi here on set with us. Jesse, are you still sore from that game? Because it looks like you were all over the place.
Just a little bit. Not too much, though, but it was a good game all around. It was a lot of fun.
Jesse, is there anybody in your family that didn't play linebacker?
My dad, he played linebacker in college, but my dad, he played nose guard in high school, but nobody.
Your dad can't bend either.
Nope, not at all.
But can he dance?
He cannot dance.
Jesse might be the only one. He got something else. I'm telling you, he got a little something else gift. Like, God was like, you know what? They've been a great family. Let's give Jesse a little bit more athleticism. I like it.
Right. He's got a little bit of that wrestler look to him. You wrestle as well, Jesse?
No, sir, I do not. I actually only play football and golf. It's a weird combo, but not a wrestler.
Smart guy. Got a lifetime sport built in the back end. And he's going to talk about his glory days on the golf course. This guy's got to figure out. Jesse, you might be my new favorite high school football player right now.
I appreciate it.
No doubt.
Wow. Incredible. Jesse, you balled out. You got the call. Congratulations on the performance, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day.
All right, guys. Hey, that's going to do it here. We're going to send it back over to Cam. He's got an interview for us, so we're going to send it back to you.
All right, Cam, back in the studio. I was not able to get out to the Palisades game this week, but already given away a little bit of info. We got Nick Rankin, junior athlete from Palisades, joining me this week. All right, Nick, rapid fire questions. Going to keep it 60 seconds. What's your go-to breakfast food on game day?
Go-to breakfast, probably pancakes.
Pancakes, all right. No protein?
Pancakes, some eggs.
All right, I got you.
Protein shake, probably.
Okay. If you could go pro in a sport other than football, what would it be?
Track.
All right. What's one of your hidden talents?
I can cook.
What's your favorite meal to cook then?
Probably some pasta. Probably any type of pasta.
Okay, all right. What was like the superhero you looked up to, or your favorite superhero growing up as a kid?
Spider-Man.
Okay, now I like that answer. We're the same. All right, and the last one I got for you is not really a question, but I want you to do your best impression of Coach Simmons. Come on, when he's getting on to you at practice, do your best impression.
I gotta think. He say a lot. I'm gonna give you one from this week.
Right.
I gotta try to do his voice too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely the voice.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna be key.
It's hard.
And you can curse too. He curses a lot. If we need it, we can blurp it out if we need to.
I ain't know because my mom watching.
Good.
It's really like it ain't really nothing he says, like what he do, like his movements and stuff.
Okay.
Because he'll come down from up top, blowing a whistle, jumping and stuff.
I got you. Well, talk a little about your performance this week, man. 10 total tackles, 9 solo, 65 receiving yards, and a touchdown as well. Well, I mean, that can be another question. What do you like playing better, offense or defense? Because you do them both obviously really well.
Defense, definitely defense.
Well, I'll tell you something. Your coach raves about you. We talk a good bit. Me and your head coach probably talk at least once a week. I respect the heck out of what he's done at that program. And he says that you're probably one of the best athletes he's ever coached. He raves about you. And he's been around some great programs. He was at Vance. He was at Huff. He's a lot of different places. And so, kudos to that. Keep doing that. He raves about you. And I would say Spider-Man would be a great attribute because you go out there. How many picks you got this year? You got any or they don't throw at you?
I got one. I had two, but the first one got called back.
Yeah, we count that. We count those on Max Press. We got to count that one. It was a good pick. I hear you, man.
Appreciate you coming on, Nick.
Last question.
Go ahead.
What would you consider your biggest rivalry game right now with the new conferences? I know Audrey Kell was a huge game for you guys because that was the first time that Palisades won. So what would you consider is it Olympic, them?
No, it ain't Olympic. It's we don't worry about the guys in red.
Okay. Well, tell me who your favorite game is to play against.
For conference, definitely Providence.
Ooh, that's gonna be a big one at the end. Okay, good deal. All right,
appreciate you coming on, Nick, man. Continue doing your thing out there, and next time I'm gonna have to get a better impression of Coach Simmons because
I got
Simmons is very animated. But we'll be right back after this short break.
Every week on Thursday and Saturday morning, get the latest in high school news from around the region in the Charlotte Observer's free newsletter, Talking Preps, the newsletter. Make sure you sign up now.
I'm all right, guys. Hangover counting cards.
All right, guys, we're back. Just more of the shenanigans in the background. It's time to talk about the big games of the week. We're going to start it right with the statewide stuff. And here's the guru after his music.
All right, guys. Again, week number 8 of the season. Season's moving along. I was kind of wrong on math. Almost halfway through. I said we was about a third through. We're really about halfway through to the state championships being played in December. But nonetheless, it's still the season's moving on, kind of getting that crisp in the air, fall, crunch time, conferences heating up. I do want to talk about a couple big games. I don't feel like we talk nearly enough about the small schools. We got Murphy there in the 2A, Robbinsville in the 1A. That's a big time Smoky Mountain Conference rivalry that's taking place up there. I feel like sometimes being here in the Queen City and in the Triangle up there in Raleigh, you just forget about the periphery of the state and some of those teams. So I just wanted to make sure that people are thinking about those guys out there, the Smoky Mountain Conference. There's no other conference in the history of the state that has won more state championships in football than that Smoky Mountain Conference. So always worth keeping up with that. Moving up there to Wake County, Garner at Cleveland. This Garner team's for real. Think about Garner. We've talked about state championships. You remember, that maybe the potential of them bringing one back to Charlotte, to Bank of America. Well, the last time a state championship game was in Charlotte, Garner came here and just put a thumping on Coach Knott's Harding team. And Garner, they are back for real. The Trojans are 6-1 or 5-1. Their only loss being a very competitive loss to Cleveland game 1 of the season. And since then, they have just been rolling. Coach Duron Donald does a great job. I coached with him back in the day at Douglasburg. Real proud of what I've watched him do. But just looking at who they play, Cleveland, man, that Cleveland team, all they do is win 10, 12, 13 games a year. So that's going to be a good one. But anyway, I just wanted to spend my whole time talking about the Haywood County Championship. This is a game everybody thinks about every year. You go up there to Waynesville or to Canton, that Pisgah-Tuscola battle, and it is just always talk about the half and half, the 50-50. 15, 12, 13,000 people would jam their way in there. And to see Weatherly Stadium in Waynesville, it's a phenomenal environment. I've been to this game both in Canton and in Waynesville, and it's just probably the most epic high school football environment I've ever seen in North Carolina. It don't matter what the records of the teams are. It don't matter. It's always just a Donnybrook of a game. Just a great game. In fact, I saw Tuscola this past Friday night up at Western Carolina against Franklin, who, by the way, is still my underrated team in 5A. And there was 6,000 people jammed into that game at Western. So, those people in Western North Carolina, they really know how to pack stadiums, and it's just a great environment for football. Before I get out of here, though, speaking of Franklin, they give me the segment, so I'm going to talk about them. Franklin has a sophomore running back named Garrett Young, maybe one of the most underrated beasts I've seen. You got to keep him on your radar. And I just want to get out of here and mention a good friend of mine, Hall of Fame coach, Harold Robinson, passed away this week. Harold Robinson was a great coach at Williamston High School back in the day. I went on and worked for East Carolina for about a decade, but he meant a lot to a lot of coaches in the States. I just want to make sure we kept him and his family in our thoughts.
Absolutely. Dawson Press, his family. That is amazing. Chris, you would get on here talk about 6,000 fans and 13,000 fans on the night when we're talking about 1,000 fans.
I know.
I just want to point that out. All right, Cam, let's find out what you got for the region.
All right, we're going to start with Statesville at Davie County. Look, Davie County's on a 3-game win streak right now, and Statesville's coming off a big-time loss to Lake Norman. Chance for Statesville to kind of right the ship, but Davie County actually has had 2 straight shutouts, so their defense is playing really well. Coach Brian Henson there, state champion at Salisbury not too long ago, so he obviously knows what he's doing. I look for that to be a pretty solid game. Then Kings Mountain and Ashbrook. Look, Ashbrook's still undefeated. Both of these teams put up a lot of points, and they're ranked 4th and 5th, respectively, in the 6A. So I think that could be a pretty solid game. If Kings Mountain's able to stop the Green Wave with their defense, I could see this one being maybe a 28-21 type. But then going to Marvin Ridge and Porter Ridge. Look, I've had Porter Ridge in my big 3, seems like every other week. They're playing really good football. I think the reason I put this one on here primarily is I think this could be one of those trap-type games. They don't want to look ahead. They've got Weddington the following week, so they got to handle their business against a Marvin Ridge team that's 3-3. Had some really solid results, some shaky results, but if Porter Ridge is able to execute their game plan, I think they should win this game.
All right, that's a solid week of games. Let's talk about some Charlotte games. Gary and Hales, Chambers and Independence. I got Gary on the Chamber side. I got Hales on the Independence side. We got 2 experts on this one. What do you think, Gary?
Well, Chambers is coming off a bye week, and they probably needed it. They lost a lot of not a lot, but they lost several close games after getting off to a fast start. So you want to see how well they've addressed some of the issues that have come up in the last 3 weeks for them, where they're losing very close games, and coach himself said they hadn't been able to finish. So I want to see if they use their bye week to try to figure out what are some things they can do to help them finish.
Well, Hales, we know that Independence is going to have a great script. How did they bounce back from that disappointing loss at West Charlotte?
Well, if you want to go by, what I saw from DJ's comments on Twitter earlier today, he wasn't real happy, and I, certainly understand. Been in that situation myself before, but I mean, I expect Independence to come out and just ready to roll. I know they're going to have a, pretty intense week of practice because I know, he just has higher expectations from what he saw, again, basing this off what I saw on Twitter. But, I mean, he's a great coach. He's got a great coaching staff over there, and they're going to push those kids. And, like I said, he expects a lot more from them, and I think we're going to see it this week.
All right, let's switch up, Hale. Stay right there. Your boys got a home game against Butler this week. Looks to me like the biggest game in town. Tell me about this game with Butler and North Met.
This is the first time this year I don't have to get on a bus to go to a game. My kids don't have to get on a bus. We don't have to wear the white jerseys again. We're going to be so excited to be out there. It's a homecoming game for us. So I do, I got some concerns, and the kids are going to be well aware of these concerns because it's homecoming, because it's the first game, at home and on our field this year. But, guys, wait till you get to see this field, man. This thing is beautiful. They've done such an awesome job with it. And, for me, it's definitely some nostalgia because my first home game as the JV head coach back in 2004 was against the North Meck Vikings, man. And, so for me, it's a chance to kind of revisit that. And who knows, man, maybe we'll dust off 80 Viking and we'll run a little something special this week. But no, man, we're excited. I think the kids are, we had a great bye week where we got a little bit of rest and got to clean some things up. So, no, I'm ready to get back to work with these guys.
Sam, what do you see in this game with North Meck? Has played well in some games, going to try to knock off Coach Hales' Butler team on a brand new turf field. And you have no sound, Sam. You are soundless.
I am soundless.
Best you've ever sounded,
Sam. I know, very rarely, right? I was just intrigued. Like Hale was talking, and I'm like a fan. I'm like, this guy's amazing when he talks about everything.
True story, Hales. Last year, Sam was like literally begging me to get you on the show. You got to get Hales. You got to get Hales. And in another true story, when you came on, the ratings went like up. I don't know what happened, but it's like, I mean, we're doing the best ratings
that's awesome,
in 8 years. I mean, it's crazy.
He's a legend.
Good deal.
He talks the truth. He's a get off my lawn kind of guy too, just like McFadden. So everything's perfect. I think this game is very decisive. You're going. Both teams are fighting to get into certain seedings in the playoffs. This is a big game. You've seen North Meck win some games that we didn't expect them to win, and then we saw Butler that's coming into their own of Butler football. He had a young team that's coming in, and I think that he's getting back to the DNA. And I'm excited to see them play because I'll get this film. I might even make a little peek to the game. Who knows? We'll see. But I'm excited to see the new turf. Butler graduate myself, and I'm rooting for Butler. Really am. I ain't afraid to say it. And I think it'll be a really tight game. Don't know, but I think if Butler does, 60 special or something like that and get them early, then we might see something get crazy.
Every play Butler special.
One thing I think is really cool about this is I love the fact that Darryl Vereen is the head coach of North Meck. When you get these guys coming back to their alma maters and taking over their programs, I just think it just adds something to it, and it brings more passion. It brings more caring to it. So I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, that's the word I was going to use, passion. He was so passionate media day. You could tell that really meant something to him.
He did say, what did he say? He said, we're going to win some games that maybe you don't expect. I need Hales to handle it. Don't let it be this game.
No, he just said it. Cam, tell me about Hopewell Marsh Park. and Hopewell pull off the biggest upset of the year?
No. Look, I'll keep it, straight-laced professional. I think this game is maybe headed for running clock territory. Myers Park is just they're very, well, quite frankly, surprisingly good team. I don't know if many people had them being quite as good as they have shown to be preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Can Hopewell pull off the upset? Probably not. Can Hopewell keep it close for a quarter or two? Maybe. But I just think Myers Park's size, athleticism, their defensive front is going to it poses a threat for pretty much anybody in the state, much less a team that's kind of trying to find their footing. So I just think this game could be headed for a rough ending for the Titans.
Hey, Cam, I need that hat, man. I like that hat. Sam, Myers Park, can they beat a Huff team later on this year?
I don't think so. No.
I hope you have to play Marsh Part in the playoffs now.
That's fine. No big deal. Play the game.
What do you think about this game? When you're an overwhelming favorite, how hard is it from a coach perspective to get your kids up to play a Hopewell team like that?
Well, I mean, that's what Snead is there for. He's trying to put his identity in there of toughness, running the football, slowing the game down. He's brought the right people in the staff to help build what his vision is. Mm-hmm. It's just the first year is always a very difficult task to get your identity there. I mean, every time I've taken over a program to where I'm trying to put an identity, I mean, I've went 1-10 and like 2-5 or whatever it is. Like I've never been able to do it year one the way you want it to be done. And I think that Snead is on the right path. You can see glimpses. I've seen film where they're instilling their DNA, but it's just not quite there yet.
Yeah, well, playing Mars Park is going to be a tough thing to pull it off.
They're a great football, and that's what I'm saying. Mars Park is a great football team. I heard someone say something early in the year that was disturbing in the aspect. I don't know if I should say it, but they played a team that they lost to, and he said to me when we looked at them at halftime, they're still the same people that we remember who they are in the trenches, and let's just remind them of that. And so that's how they won that game. And so that was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
All
right, Dale, tell me about Rocky River and Ardrey-Kell. It's another one of those same type of games as the last one.
Same type of game as the last one, sort of, yeah. I don't think that, especially this is not the week to want to face Ardrey-Kell.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Yeah, if you're not if you're already kind of in a mismatch situation, and now you're going to face Ardrey-Kell after disappointing, I'm sure in Ardrey-Kell's mind, a disappointing loss to Palisades this past Friday night, a game that they were out in front in. Just really probably not the game to want to step up and have to face them. So. I don't know, Langston. This is a tough week of football in CMS, where we have disparity in teams, and
spoiled.
Unfortunately, this is one of those games.
Yeah, Hales. What does McClamrock try to get done in a game like this? What are you trying to sell your kids when you're going to be an underdog against a team like Ardrey-Kell?
So I think what you want to do is, you have yourself a competitive game at the end of the first quarter. Try to keep that thing to within a score. Then try to take that to halftime. Try to keep that thing within a score. You have a team that's big favorite. The longer you can make that a competitive game, the more the pressure really starts to build for that team. So, you try to just drag that thing out, take your time when you got the ball, get that thing to a fourth quarter where you've got a competitive game, and hopefully that favorite starts making some uncharacteristic mistakes, and you got a chance to steal one. But on top of that, you're building confidence, because that's all, that's a big thing what coach is trying to do right now. Get these kids to believe in themselves, get them to believe in his program, and just to continue to grow that thing, because they've got athletes over there. They've always had athletes over there at Rocky River. It's just a matter of that consistent belief in themselves, having an identity, and I think this is actually a great opportunity for them to do that.
All right. Dale, here is a good competitive game. Cannon School just ended Country Day's unbeaten season last week. Now, this week, they're going to go to Latin and try to end Latin's unbeaten season. What do you think about this game?
Wow. Can they end Latin's unbeaten? So this is, I don't want to say a surprise with Latin, but it's good to see Latin playing well.
Latin and
this
Country
late
Day
in
both.
the season.
Yeah.
Do what?
I said Latin and Country Day both are playing well. Even though
it's I can remember back to when that was those two playing each other.
They used to be Providence and Christian years ago.
So back to this game, I favor Latin in this game. I think it'll be a tough game, but I favor Latin here.
Has Latin played Country Day yet?
No.
Okay.
No, not yet. Cameron, your thoughts here? We got one of your Cabarrus County teams coming to Charlotte.
Yeah, I think this could actually be a one-sided game. I mean, look, Latin, I'm just skimming through their schedule. Have they played the quality of teams that some may have? Probably not, but they have beaten the tar out of everyone they've played. They hadn't played a close game. Have they played the Providence Days yet? The Charlotte Christians yet? No. Will they win those games? I personally doubt it, but look, they're undefeated for a reason. They're playing really well. Mm-hmm. And I can see this game maybe not being like run and clock territory, but somewhere in the 21-point victory margin range.
Wow. Cannon, they pulled off one last week. I'm sure they probably feel like they can pull another one off. Sam, we got two teams, one that you're familiar with. Barry's going to play Harding, both teams in need of a W. Really good chance for both teams to get it. I would imagine that everybody in school is going to be a little more hyped up this week because they know this is one we can get.
Yeah, the Battle of Allegheny right here. It's a big game for both teams. I remember when we were at Harding, we talked about this game. We own the street, and that's just what it is. So this is a big rivalry game. And I mean, how many schools are literally within a half a mile of each other on the same street? And so
it's crazy.
I know.
Gary, sorry.
I've seen Harding in a 707 and 707.
Yeah.
They have athletes running around. They have enough. I don't know if they're still healthy, if they're injured or what. I would give that side to Harding, but I do. Former coach over there at Barry, I know they're looking for a win. I think they don't have they lost their defense coordinator a couple weeks ago, so I don't know how that's going to affect them. So I don't know. I'd like to see the end of the score Friday for sure.
Yeah, I was over at Harding last week. I had a good time over there. Just walking around the campus and seeing the kids, and just. It was really cool experience. I enjoyed it. I hadn't been to Harding in a couple years. I put myself on the screen. Gary, your thoughts on this game?
Well, opening Barry hurt both athletic programs with them being that close together. Yeah. And they both have suffered because of the proximity to each other. You think if you could combine the two programs, you really have a good athletic program. So like I said, it's for street rivalry. That's not something you hear a lot. You don't want to see anybody not win a game. So Barry's got to be looking at this as, this is our chance. This is our chance. And so I'm sure they'll be up for it. You just hope that it's a competitive game.
Okay, well, I thought you normally finish with a flourish. So I'm waiting on the flourish.
Put it this way: is CMS going to limit attendance to this game?
Don't start.
I mean, it's a big rivalry now.
Well,
it's a big game to those two students.
Sam, would that game sell out when you were there?
Oh yeah. The last year we were there. Yeah.
It may be. And that's the thing. We don't know what the high profile games are. I almost think they need to put out a list at the beginning of the week to say these are the high profile games.
A lot of times it was homecoming game for us because we knew we were going to whoop that tail.
Man, you're rough, boy. You're rough.
No, the thing about Barry though, even though they're very
why does nobody ever like me?
Sometimes Hales told me just be the villain. Be the villain.
You do a good job of that.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is Sam is a really good dude, but he likes being the villain.
The Barry doesn't have, so even though they're close together, they don't have like, oh, you live here, you go to Barry.
Yeah.
Barry is a strictly only magnet school. Like you have to be in their program, which tells you if you get the right kid, if you start building something in the program, you can pull from anywhere in Charlotte-Mecklenburg to come to your program and they'll bust you in.
Yep.
And so it could be an unreal powerhouse if you get the right things brewing there, without a doubt.
Well, the only guy I know been able to go win in schools like that is on the screen right now. So you trying to go do that?
No, I'm done. You're talking about Hales. Hales going to go do that right there.
I coach at one school, man. That's it.
All right, it's time for my favorite part of the show, Coach versus Coach. We got a one-topic Coach versus Coach. It's all about the big CMS hoopla. We got three coaches to talk about it. So we'll get to that when we come back on the other side of this break.
Hi, I'm Scott Fowler, sports columnist at the Charlotte Observer. I have been here 31 years, but you know what I never have had before here? A newsletter. I've got one now. It's free. I'd love you to sign up for it and get my take. Every single time I have a column, you'll see it first. Panthers, Hornets, college sports, high school sports, whatever controversies going on. Sign up for my free newsletter, and you will be able to get my column every single time earlier than anyone else.
All right, guys. Hey, this is the favorite part of the show. You know what time it is. We're all in the screen, so let's lock the door.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
All right, guys, week 8, coach versus coach. I don't want to waste any time, so I'm going to jump right in it. Question number 1. CMS is opting to limit fans at high-profile football games for the remainder of the season. Did the district need to make this move? Gary, I can't wait to hear what you've got to say.
I'm going to say no. I think it's a panic move. I really do. I think that what they should have done is to let people know ahead of time there's going to be a heightened sense of security. One of the things that I think the powers that be that don't understand about high school kids is high school kids don't go to games to watch the game. Mm-hmm. They don't. Parents go watch the game. High school kids go to the game to be seen and to see who they can see. They go to socialize. And, some of these schools where they're laid out, that's not good. If the stadium sits in a bowl, it's easier to police. If people have to come in from ground level and go up, it's harder to police. So I think it's a panic move, though. I think they could have come up with some other solution, but I don't know what it is. But not allowing people to get in, especially not to get in to see family members play, I think that sets a bad precedent.
Coach Hales.
Yeah, I'm going to be so surprised at myself when this answer comes out of my mouth. But yeah, something had to be done. And I know myself sometimes with my own team, like sometimes you got to let your crazy out a little bit to let people know, like, this is a serious situation. Like last year, I took that year off. I was at a game where the stands emptied and there was just chaos all over the place. And that's not a good situation, especially when you got moms and grandmas and, families at these games. With that being said, I think it's one of those situations where you're killing a mosquito with a sledgehammer. I think let them know, hey, this is what we're capable of. This is what we may have to do going down the road. But I think to make this a decision that say it's going to be this way no matter what for the rest of the year, like Gary, I'm with you. Like, I don't know exactly what the answer is, but something drastic had to be done, especially, and again, I'm not privy to all the information. I don't know how many games things are happening at, but I know it's happening too much, and I do think there need to be consequences.
Killing a mosquito with a sledgehammer. See, you wonder why this guy is the greatest.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
How do I follow that? Jesus. From now on, I'm not deferring. I'm not deferring no more. I'm taking the receipt. Give me the question first. No, I personally think they got it wrong, but I do agree with Hells that something had to be done, and we did kill the mosquito with a sledgehammer with this decision. I think that I just look at life differently. I don't live life safe. I live life aggressively. You only live once, in a way where I think we can attack it with a different way, and we could talk about that later. But I don't think we got it right because of the aspect that's affecting too many other situations. And we'll get into that. And it's just frustrating because when I look up at the stands, my job as a coach is to do the best I can to promote our school to a point where people want to be at these games. And I think that was taken from us, and that hurts a lot. So I don't think the district made the right move, but I understand why they made the move. But instead of just not wanting to be on the news, attack it. Like, we're known, CMS is the greatest district there is in the state of North Carolina. Let's act like it. Okay, let's find solutions, not try to dodge this situation. That's what I need to say.
All right. Sam, you wanted the first one. I want to bring this one next right back to you. So get ready. What ideas as coaches do you think would help curtail the issues that led CMS to make this move?
What ideas as coaches do you think would help? I think that we do some type of zero tolerance policy situation, or if you're going to limit ticket sales, that we have a way that we can promote these ticket sales to direct families and family members right away. And then or you separate tickets in a way where the families are making sure that they're taken care of, and then the population afterwards getting into the games that Gary was talking about, people come to socialize. I think there's ways to go about that. It's just very difficult. They're asking us to do things with our hands tied behind our back. We don't get no say-so in this. I'm not in these meetings. Hales is not in these meetings, and they're decisions that affect us a lot, affect our schools, the thing that we work hard for the most. And so very frustrating right now.
Gary.
I don't think it's anything coaches can do. They have enough on their plate trying to coach their team and teaching their team not to, run on the field if there's a problem between two players and that type of thing. They can't worry about what's going on in the stands. For CMS, how can they curtail this issue? It's just having a presence, having people in visible areas. 90% of this involves students. So where the students gather, as I said in the earlier segment, way the stadiums are made has a lot to do with it. Like Sam's Place at West Charlotte, you have to enter from ground level and go up. And a lot of people at West Charlotte would conjugate around the fence and on the ground level. You got to figure out a way to get those people seated. But kids don't want to sit down when they go to a game. And kids don't want to be seen with their parents, not in high school. That's one thing you got to understand. This idea of making parents bring their kid to the game and sit with their parents, that's not going to work. Both of these guys have kids. They'll tell you, kids don't want to be seen with their parents when they're teenagers. That's only time you see a kid with their parents when they're teenagers, their parents get ready to buy them something. Then they want to be beside the parent.
I'm a ticket.
Yeah, but if they're at the mall with the parents, they're walking ahead of the parents or behind the parents. Can't be seen with the parents until they get to the cash register. Then they want the parent close by. But I don't know. This part of society, these incidents are part of society. Sports is not immune to it. These same things happen at college football games now since they're selling alcohol. These same things happen in every NFL stadium every Sunday.
What you said right there, Gary, what you said right there, that happens in college games. Alcohol's involved. Things happen. What happens to those people that make mistakes? What do they do when they make those mistakes right away?
They
get arrested. Zero tolerance policy. That's fine. People will start getting fearful, like, oh, shoot, mass crowds, bad things happening. Yeah. We don't want people running around back and forth. Make examples. Make it a tougher penalty if you're in a crowd or a setting like this. Then it's zero tolerance. This is what happened. Let them know this will happen if you act a fool.
Yeah. I mean, Philadelphia, they had to put a courtroom in a jail in the basement of their stadium years ago, But the thing I'm saying, I'm fired up now, man. I'm like a dog on a leash here. Like, actions have to have consequences. Gary, you talked about this how many times about with Clemmer. Sam, you remember the principal and some of the APs you had at Butler, like Joel Ritchie wasn't playing with stuff like this. Byron Bowers, these guys weren't playing with stuff like this. Like, if you get suspended from school because you're getting in fights, you're not coming to a game. But the thing is, like, that's not my job as the football coach to make sure that's happening. Like, sorry, like, I got problems of my own, but actions have to have consequences. If you do something at a high school game, you're not coming to any more high school games. Like, your money's just not that worth it if you're going to be one of those kids that's starting trouble, So, I mean, I have a tough time with it, like I said, something has to be done, but actions have to have consequences. And if you're a troublemaker, don't come. Like, keep out of here.
Yep. Cool. Man, great time.
We're letting the evil win, though. Y'all understand that? Like, we're letting a few bad apples, instead of punishing those bad apples, it's affecting the overall community, and that's wrong.
Yep.
Well, right, like Gary said earlier, like he can't get into a game. He's got a gold pass. He's got this pass. He got that pass. Like, why is Gary Richmond not allowed to get into a game? Is Gary up there throwing haymakers and hitting the vape and all this stuff? No. Like, why is Gary not allowed to go to this game?
A gold pass doesn't get him in the game. Gary, just one quick, tell everybody what you have to do for so many years in a row to even get a gold pass.
You have to go to the coaches meeting 25 years in a row.
And pay the fee.
And pay
the fee, which is ridiculous in its own right, but pay the fee.
All right. Hey, last question here, coach versus coach. How much will the ruling hurt affected schools financially, and what impacts may have? Gary, I'm going to lead off with you.
Well, we already know West Charlotte lost a huge gate Friday night. They lost a huge gate Friday night. So most schools are, after they get their lump sum at the beginning of the year, which is less than $7,000 from downtown to operate the athletic department, now they're dependent on the gate for the remainder of the athletic season to pay whatever expenses they have, and especially to pay the non-revenue sports. And when we say revenue sports, we're just referring to football and basketball, basically. Even though they charge admission for some other sports, the ones that generate the revenue are football and basketball. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to make up for that loss when the baseball coach comes and says, hey, we need this many balls, and we need the chalk for the field, and we need this and that. And the AD says, oh, we don't have the money. See, can your parents donate some money? Or it could be any scenario, but the expenses are going to arise in athletic departments throughout the school year, and they're expected to pay for it. They're not going to get it. Okay, here's the big one nobody thinks about. When that wash machine breaks,
buddy,
and you got to wash all those uniforms, hell, you know what that's like? Taking all those uniforms to your own house and having to wash them, a whole set of uniforms, because the wash machine in the field house is broken and you don't have the money to pay for it.
Oh, but
that kind of stuff like that, people never think of.
Something else the coach would do. Something else the coach would do that no one gets credit for. Big deal.
Coach Hales.
Right. Well, and I mean, too, like, say, what's a football? $90 for a football now?
Yeah,
and again, I don't know how much it costs to get into a high school football game. Maybe I should know. Let's just talk round numbers. Let's say it's $10 to get into a game. You got to let 9 people in to buy one football. All right, like that's just to buy one football that like you're probably going to use for maybe 3 games and it becomes a practice ball. Who's going to pay for the golf? Who's going to pay for the bags for the golf team? Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to pay for that? Like, this is a huge deal. Like, you guys are allowed to sell 1,000 tickets for the game. Again, round numbers, let's say a ticket costs $10. You guys made that's $10,000 in revenue. Let's say you're able to sell that thing out at 8,000 people. So you've lost, $70,000 in revenue? Like, this is a huge, huge deal, and something's got to be done about this. Again, I don't know what the answer is. I just know to answer this question, this ruling has a major, major impact on the school, on all the teams in the school, on the parents, on the kids, on the number. Like, one of the things, I never cut kids. Like, as long as I've got enough helmets, enough shoulder pads, things like that, we're gonna outfit them. We're gonna let a kid play football. But now, if I can't afford more helmets, that's more kids that can't play. That's more kids that's not involved in this program. That's more kids that at 2:15 every day are released out there. They're out in the wild now, and it's gonna hurt so many people in so many different ways.
Listen, here's one thing we also forgot about. Another unintended consequence. $1 off the high school gate goes to the middle schools. Guess how many middle schools there are? 46. There are 46 middle schools, and part of their budget is dependent on what the high schools make to help supplement what's going on at the middle school.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Matter of fact,
I think it's $1 off every game. I know the surcharge that they make kids pay to play. That money is used to finance the middle school athletic departments. So, I mean, you still got to pay. It's a big loss. I mean, I don't know. And as I was arguing with Dale earlier, people think there's discretionary funds in CMS, and when they cut that COVID budget last year and the school system had to cut their own budget, there is not any discretionary funds for athletics, people. None. Yeah. You know, what Hamilton did in earlier years, Erica Turner can't do that. She can't say, well, I got this money over here I can draw from to help these schools out.
Well,
it's not.
But there's a way to raise that money, and that's let people into the games.
Yes.
Like, don't cap that at 1,000 people. You let 8,000 people into the game. Like, say you guys would have had 8,000 people, no problem, I'm sure. Well, that's again, let these people into the game. Now you've got a stream of revenue that, like, God, it's like sitting right there. Like, but we've got to get that problem fixed first.
And I didn't even really get to speak on this topic right here, but I'll say one thing. What they're not understanding, the consequences you're talking about, and I say this could be Title IX issue. How, coach? Well, now all of a sudden we lost $30,000 that we would have made. Well, now softball team, now the tennis team, now someone else team that we were able to buy 2 sets of uniforms for, and everybody's excited about the camaraderie of the school is out the door now. Now we just couldn't fund 2 programs right now because of this last game.
That's rough. Well, Sam, while you're in your final shot,
I got one other unintended consequence.
Okay.
How does that look? How does it look, perception, that it was North and Malik Creek, West Charlotte, Independence? What are their student bodies made up of? Huh?
That's the first, Gary. That was the first thing that people asked me about Friday.
Yeah, are you gonna turn this into a racial thing?
The people who are making the decisions look like the people at Malik Creek and West Charlotte. I hear what you're saying. I get the
but I'm looking at it from the public viewpoint.
No. I get.
Don't go to games.
I get that.
I know downtown is not.
Yeah.
They're not doing it that way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying downtown is.
But if they're saying
racial decisions,
McFadden made this point on the show Friday night with Dale and Jim, is that RG Kell and Providence is a high-profile game. It is, and so are they going to be subject to the same thing? And I think if they're not, then you might have some people say it's not a fair thing. I think that's something to watch out for. But before we put the big man in his big shot, Dale, one more time, tell us about Wednesday night.
Wednesday night, we talk about a lot of stuff. This Wednesday night, we'll have Coach Joe Evans on. We're going to talk more about this controversial letting people into games. Gary, thanks for bringing up the perception issue, because we'll talk about that too, because you're right. That's something that people are going to look at. So come join us.
Should be fun. Actually, I think that graphic said 8 o'clock. I think the start time's 8:30. Sam, your final thoughts before we got here.
Just want to make a point that, the coaches in CMS and surrounding coaches, even in Union counties and the touching the borders of this area in Charlotte, people don't understand how well connected we all are as friends, and we reach out to one another. Yes, we were very competitive, like McFadden and I and Coach Hells and I. When we play against each other, we definitely want to whoop each other's tail. But people take it for granted how well connected we are and we care about one another. And I really appreciate that brotherhood. And just want to say, keep staying together and helping each other out. Want to give a prayer shout out to my man Jupiter Wilson. He had a tough day after the game. People don't understand the things that coaches go through and try to help. But one of his twins players lost their mother the night after the game. And what do you think Jupiter Wilson had to do? How do you think those kids are staying or have a roof over their head right now? Something the coaches do that you just don't know, and it won't be in the headlines. And I bet you those kids are staying with him right now, and rightfully so. He'll take it and take them under their wing, and shout out to him for that.
Absolutely. Coaches do a phenomenal job in this community and a lot of communities across the state. And I think you guys talk about it a lot, but in my years of working, I've come to understand how much you guys do off the field is probably 10 times as much as you do on the field. So thank you guys for that. But we're running a little heavy, so we're going to get out of here. That is Sam Griner, the 2-time state championship football coach from West Charlotte. That's Gary Richmond, retired CMS coach. That's Dale Ross, the historian. That's Brian Hales, the 3-time state championship coach of Butler. And that's Chris Hughes, who is the #1 voice of high school football. You guys hear that every week. We're lucky to have him. Chris may not be here next week. Chris, you got a special thing coming up next week. Can we talk about it?
Dude, I won't be here, but I am going to get on and record my big 3 for you and try to deliver as much content as I can. But yeah, Saturday's the big day. Sam can't pick on me anymore for being on them dating apps the last 3 or 4 years. Time to not again Saturday. So looking forward to it.
All right, well, should be a fun week. We'll miss the Guru live next week. But
Chris,
after that.
Chris, I'm gonna warn you now. When that first anniversary comes up next year, and your wife says, "Where are we going on our anniversary?" And you tell her,
"Better not be a football game."
I'm telling her we're going up to that game.
She tried to hear that. All right, for the guys, I'm Langston, and we are Talking Preps.
See.